First of all, let us welcome Dylan Shades. How are you doing, Dylan?
Thank you. Yeah, it's good to be here. I'm doing really well. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you so much for joining us. We are also very much looking forward to your sharing. I have prepared a lot of questions for you. So let's start with your personal introduction. So could you tell us a bit about yourself and your current work?
Yeah, sure. So I joined Ford Research about 3 to 4 months ago, and when I first joined, I was essentially started just to work on the AO cookbook. I was at first a developer in the ecosystem. I just stumbled into Arweave, and I stumbled into Arweave right around the time that AO launched, and I was very familiar with AO and the AO cookbook. And as I joined, there was a lot of things that I wanted to help out with on the cookbook. There were some things that I think weren't documented that I wanted to be documented, and then I think there were other opportunities to just clarify some things. And so that was kind of like my first goal as I joined Ford Research. And after that, they kind of rung me into the Hyperbeam side of things. And since then, I've basically been paying a lot of attention to essentially how we communicate our technology to the rest of the world. I think something that I value a lot and something that I care about a lot is like design and like user experience. And in this case, our technology, the users is most often developers. And being a developer myself, I have a lot of empathy for what it can be like to learn some of these technologies. It's very often uncharted waters. It can be difficult. There are kind of like HackMD articles just sprinkled here and there that are like super valuable. You kind of have to hold on to those if you want to remember how to do this one specific thing. Some of the docs are solid, and then some have room for improvements. So yeah, that's basically what I've been doing so far. I have not been so much a core developer on Hyperbeam. I've been more so working alongside the core developers and trying to keep up with the changes that they're making, so that whenever there's new releases that I can help communicate how that impacts the developers and just users in general. So yeah, that's basically me.
So cool. So that means you are a documentation engineer right now, right?
Yeah, I think that I saw that term, and I think that's a good way to put it right now. Yeah, I'm kind of wrangling all of the different documentation pieces that we have. Right now, I'm actually working on the PermaWeb cookbook a little bit.
Yeah. I think documentation that's a pretty important for developers who want to join in this ecosystem, because that is the first step. And those documentation can let the people understand, okay, what kind of things I can do, and what kind of technology this ecosystem provides, and they can produce, maybe build some interesting stuff on top of it, right? So in the past, in our Arweave ecosystem, everybody just to consider documentation is not good enough. So that is a developer communication part. So I'm very happy you're here, and to help us to perfect every documentation. Let us can do more on top of this ecosystem. Yes. And I know you have built a lot some very interesting stuff, such as PermaWeb, LLM View, and your personal projects like that's the music stuff, right? Can you introduce some about those about that?
Yeah, sure. Actually, when I first went to college here in the U.S., I started as a music major.
Music major, okay, cool.
Yeah, I was a music major before I was into software at all. In fact, I never coded a line of my life my first year of college. And that's when I was introduced to software engineering. I ended up making it about 80% of the way through the music degree. And I realized that I also had a love and a passion for software engineering. So I think when I found Arweave, my mind just started spinning with all of the different ways that it could be used. And one of the ways, one of the things that I remembered was I had found this open source, like web-based music studio about my sophomore year of college. And I loved the music studio. I had some really cool ideas that I just kind of sketched out on it. And it had one glaring problem though, and that problem was that the website itself didn't have any sort of storage solution. There was no way for you to save your own songs, which it had a really cool technique of actually storing the entire song in a base 64 encoded path parameter on the URL. So that was pretty wild. The fact that it's storing an entire like piece of music just on the URL. But even though it was doing that, I don't trust myself to hang on to a URL with all of my different ideas. And I can confidently say that I had all sorts of ideas. Probably at this point, it would be about 5 years ago. And I lost them. You know, they're nowhere to be found. And of course, when I found Arweave, this was a perfect solution for something like this. And so it's an open source, the web studio was an open source project. And so I actually forked it and I created an Arweave version. And so I called that Arbit Studio, and I changed the UI up a little bit. But essentially, this was, again, when AO was here. So whenever you logged into your Arbit Studio account, you would create a process alongside of your wallet, and then you could write whatever song you want to, and then there's just a save button. And that save button did not exist on the original one. And so this is actually really cool, because as a musician, like your ideas often get lost. And so to be able to hit save and to say that, like, I created this project over, I think, a year ago at this point, and I can go back to that website right now and I still have the first ideas I made on Arbit Studio, which is a night and day difference to what I was experiencing before. So Arbit Studio was really fun. It was a passion project and solving something that wasn't a serious problem. Most of my other work and most of my other projects have been a little bit more practical focused. And so you mentioned the PermaWeb LLM fuel.
Yeah, that's very useful.
Yeah, it is. And I hope that other people have found use out of it. Honestly, I think I am creating tools that I need, the tools that I feel like I need to better understand the ecosystem, to keep up to date with it. And I think these days, most people are using LLMs. And to have documentation that isn't LLM compatible is a bit of a shame. You know, there's some AI browsers that maybe could do the searching for you these days, but even those are still like heavily work in progresses. So I figured I'd just kind of build a bridge and it's essentially a web scraper. It goes to all of our docs and it refreshes daily, and it extracts all of the markdown content from the docs, and it generates an llms.txt for that page. And that project is one that even to this day, I think I'm using every single day, just because to have that much context about the PermaWeb ecosystem to give to an LLM, it knows about Arweave. It doesn't know as much about AO, and it doesn't know probably anything about Hyperbeam unless it had web searches. So to be able to have all of this context in llms.txt, you can just drag and drop or even copy and paste into your chat interface, and all of a sudden it feels like you're chatting with a forward research engineer. And that's the heart behind it. That's the goal behind it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool because I use this every day as well. I just how to say it? Import that txt file, right? I
Yeah.
just collect all information from the page and imports all files in cloud desk. So I can it can be my own acknowledged library. So I can ask any questions about the Hyperbeam Arweave. The best part is it's not only related to the Hyperbeam Arweave. It's also related to the AIO, some other very important infrastructure in Arweave ecosystem. So I think it's very useful. I use it every day as well. Yeah. Very good job.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm glad it's helping other people out as well.
Yeah. I want to let more people knows it. So that's why I ask you some questions 1 week or 2 weeks before, and I write an article about that things. I just want to promote it in our community. Yeah. So that's that is information about yourself, about your personal thing. So now I want to dive into the hackathon part. I have several the questions about hackathons. So you are one of the judges for the AI agents on the PermaWeb hackathon. So can you tell us a bit about the goals or vision behind this hackathon?
Yeah. So from my perspective, I think the hackathon is trying to leverage a part of the AO Hyperbeam Arweave ecosystem that doesn't exist, at least not that I've seen, on most other blockchains, and that is the ability for your programs to act on a routine basis without your intervention. And practically, right now, that looks like the cron method, to create a process with cron that can just come back alive. It can wake up and execute code. And that in and of itself is a pretty straightforward thing to have on your process, but the implications are limitless, really. It's your mind is the limit when it comes to what type of programs can I now create now that I have cron. And with AI, I've heard a lot of different definitions of AI, but I think one that I've always resonated with is AI is software that can be put in unknown circumstances and produce fruitful results. And so what that might look like in our ecosystem is taking it's taking your program and adapting it so that you don't have to intervene and it can adapt over time. And that's exactly what cron does. Cron enables you to take in data day after day after day, and your program can make different decisions based on the data that it has collected. And ultimately, like that is the definition of AI that I've come to know. It is new information. What are we going to do now? And so AI in the ecosystem is a little bit of uncharted waters. I know Apis Networks is doing some really great work, especially getting a GPU device on Hyperbeam. Yeah. To be frank, I'm not super familiar with like the current state of that. But I think that is definitely something to be keeping your eye on and taking a look at. And I think in general, it would, I think what we're hoping to see are some people who are not afraid to get into the dirty work and to go in uncharted waters. There's not a ton of documentation about like, okay, so yeah, you have this cron process that you created. Now, what makes that AI? And I think that is something that you can show us. You can show us how your program is different than just a standard rules-based traditional program. How is it adapting to the input data? There's a library called AO Learn, and that library takes the classic scikit-learn from Python, and it brings a lot of those machine learning models into the Lua AO environment. So machine learning models are extremely useful when it comes to software making decisions with new data, with unknown circumstances. And so I think that that's definitely something that I would look into. I would look into these more traditional machine learning models. How can I leverage them a part of my cron AO process to produce something that's really innovative and new that hasn't been seen in our ecosystem, or really any ecosystem in the blockchain world.
You mentioned a lot of about the cron, CRON, right? That is
Yes.
a function in the IO network, right? Cron.
Yeah. Yeah.
Apps Network's core developer Jason, he introduces a little bit to us during the last online meeting. So can you introduce more about that Quant? Maybe some developers who are not who is not familiar with the AO ecosystem, they can understand that.
Yeah. So in our ecosystem, AO and AO processes are effectively our smart contracts. These are programs that are stored a part of the permaweb network and ecosystem. There's the data from your AO processes gets propagated to Arweave. If AO processes are your smart contracts, cron is the ability for your smart contract to not just respond to users' interactions on your applications, but it's also it allows your smart contract to have a mind of its own, to wake up whenever you want it to wake up, and to make actions for itself, basically. Cron really changes the angle about the angle that you approach your program with, because most traditional programs are very synchronous in nature, where a user types something and they hit send, and then we take that data and we pull it into the AO process, and we maybe add that to their profile, or whatever other part of the AO process that we're using that data for. Cron changes that. So now the human doesn't have to be the initiator. The human can still reap the rewards of the program, but the human doesn't have to initiate the program. So cron is an idea, I think, in software that goes well beyond just AO. And it's really just a pattern of when something should be executed. And when you create your AO process, there is an optional flag that you can pass that will effectively tell all of the underlying infrastructure that, hey, this process needs to be run on a routine basis. And then when that process is run, it's triggered by, or it causes a trigger to a handler that you define in your process that will effectively say, okay, we woke up, now what? Right? And that's kind of the entrance to your cron smart contract, your cron AO process. But then what you do after that's where you come in. That's where the developer comes in and gets to decide, how are we going to make something amazing with this self-initiating smart contract.
Cool. So, I'm not a developer. I don't have a developer development background, so maybe I can't understand very well. but with AI's help, maybe I can. So I can maybe I need to do more research about Quora. So as my thoughts right, I want to ask Cron can be a part of a agent. So we can use Quorum to let that agent execute execute automatically. But it's an agent, not an AI agent. So if we want to do something related to AI, we have to add AI on top of it, right?
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah. I think without any sort of AI technology in the mix, you're right, you're left with just an agent.
So that means this hackathon is not only related to the AI, but also if you use the cron to develop or build a process or application, that's also acceptable, right?
So that probably would be acceptable, but it may not be your best bet. Because what we're looking for are smart contracts that don't just repeat themselves on a day-to-day basis, right? It's pretty easy to make a smart contract that sends a message that just increments a number on a daily basis. You could, and like that's self-initiating. The developer, like it requires no user intervention. Every day, we're going to increment the number stored on this process by 1. And then you can go to the website and you can see, oh, today it's 1, tomorrow it's 2. Then the day after that, it's 3. It's not helping many people, though. Most of us know how to count, and we don't need a smart contract on a decentralized system to do that for us. So you're right, that is kind of the agent side of the hackathon. And I think the AI side is where we want to see some innovation. Kind of how I defined earlier, AI is just a program being able to handle unfamiliar situations. A program that has new information, new data, and can adapt and make different choices based on that data.
Cool.
And so, yeah. And I think like machine learning is an extremely powerful tool that you can leverage to ensure that your application isn't merely doing +1. You're not just incrementing data, or you're not doing something that's that trivial. But instead, you can start to like leverage algorithms and machine learning models that cause your process to adapt a little bit more. That can produce a lot more fruitful results, as we've seen recently. Like all of these LLMs, that's I think what most people think of when they think of AI. But the LLMs, they fall into that like paradigm very, very clearly. They are machine learning models that have been trained to handle unknown inputs, and you put whatever input you want, and then it can produce fruitful outputs. So cron is the agent side, and you get to decide the AI side. What are you going to build with cron that handles new, unfamiliar circumstances that produces fruitful results for users?
Cool. I know that everybody in this not ecosystem, everybody in this industry, crypto industry, or the Web3 industry, everybody just want to add AI on top of Web3. But so far, I haven't seen any successful application did that, right? So have you seen any projects in the Web3 ecosystem do that very well?
I've got to be honest. I have not seen anything that has really caught my eye, or at least been sticky. Sticky beyond just reading a headline. So most other blockchains, I think, just aren't quite as capable of executing AI like the permaweb ecosystem can. And that's largely just due to the infrastructure of that blockchain. It just can't quite like LLMs require an immense amount of compute to run, and there are smaller models, but even still, those smaller models, it's not a small amount of compute. You're doing much more than adding incrementing digits with these LLM models. So yeah, I haven't seen many other projects that are in the blockchain world that are leveraging blockchain technology for AI. I think the closest thing that probably exists somewhere is a form of a DeFi AI agent. A program that can make trades depending on all sorts of different types of variables. So I'm almost certain that exists somewhere. And that definitely is a use case. You know, if you can create a really cool and unique experience for trading or just, you know, DeFi users to interact with the blockchain in new and exciting ways with Cron and whatever AI, you know, backbone that you choose, then I think that could be really interesting. Something else that I think is worth considering is that, like, if you can't find a way to bring like, if you want to leverage LLMs and the llama from Llama Land isn't enough for you, you need some more. I think it would be fine for you to use a Web2 LLM and do some really cool, add a really cool Web3 layer on top, and do something very unique and interesting with that data, and, you know, invoke that LLM on a routine basis without user intervention. You know, there's other things that you can do, and I think that's something that our ecosystem does really well, is that it bridges the gap between Web 2 and Web 3. Yeah. Especially with Hyperbeam. I mean, some of the stuff being built on Hyperbeam right now is really cool. I mean, Hyperbeam is essentially a built-in oracle that can bring any data from the internet into an AO process. Really, really cool stuff.
Yes, yes. I totally agree with you. And I think maybe the Hyperbeam AO network is maybe has a very high potential to integrate the AI and let the AI can work with the agent in this ecosystem. And about the Hyperbeam, that bridge between the Web 2 and the Web 3, especially like the hashpass, right? Yeah, hashpass and the HTTP stuff. That is pretty cool, and I'm very looking forward to those kind of things can change game, become the game changer, right? Okay, so yeah. That's the first question, and the second question, I just want to ask something about the submission stuff. What are some of the key things you'll be looking at when evaluating the submission?
Yeah, I think I hinted at it a little bit before, with something that adapts, something that is intelligent, something that doesn't require user intervention. So those are three dimensions that I'll definitely be thinking about when looking at projects. I think something else that is a very critical thing that we'll be looking at is, what problem are you solving? You know, how is this actually making a difference? How is this changing the world? How is it bringing more people into the permaweb, right? You know, we can build some crazy cool technology. How is what you're building going to, you know, bring that technology to other people who aren't familiar with it yet? And there's lots of ways that you can do that. And I think that's something that will be very important. I think it's easy to build something just because you had an idea and you thought it would be fun and that it would be cool. And those projects are really great. And I'm not trying to downplay those projects, but I think what most people want to see are the projects that are making changes in their daily lives, right? Claude Code, ChatGPT, these blew up because people use them every day.
Yes.
These are making massive changes in individuals' daily lives. And so I know that's a big, bar to meet, but I think that's the type of thing that we should strive for in these hackathons, right? Like how can you change someone's life, like for the every day of the rest of their lives? What type of technology can you build that will make their lives easier, that will help them achieve their goals? What is the problem that you are solving? Who are the users? And how is AI making their lives better?
Yes. Okay, that's very clear. Maybe the developers can write it down and to think about what kind of things you can build. And of course, about the AI part, I'm not a developer, but recently I'm trying to write some applications or just seek some help from AI, like cloud code. Very helpful, and now I can't work without it. Every day I use AI to work with me, and AI can empower me, just let me break through my bottleneck. In the past, I can't read any code, but now with AI's help, I can read code. I can write applications. When I want to run a Hyper-Beam node, I use AI to help me to run a node. So that's pretty cool. And so I really hope after this hackathon, the developers can use AI use AI and the Hyper-Beam to build some beautiful and interesting stuff to us. Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay. And do you have any suggestion for new developers who are considering joining the hackathon? Where should they start?
I think knowing what Arweave is a great place to start. The nature of hackathons is that it's very time constrained. So I wouldn't spend too much time, because Arweave in and of itself is you could do a lot with. There's a lot of potential with the type of things that you can build with just Arweave without looking at the decentralized compute from AO and Hyper-Beam. But Arweave is at the foundation of the permaweb. And so if you are new to the ecosystem and you're wanting to partake in the hackathon, I think having a good idea of what Arweave is, what's the block weave, what does permanent data storage mean, just get a better understanding of those philosophical ideas. And I think that will actually really help you as you then go a step further to dive into AO, maybe even Hyper-Beam, and how you can use those technologies to build your projects.
Okay. Yeah. So you mean Arweave protocol first, then to learn more about AO, and then the Hyper-Beam.
Yeah. Well, and I think that order makes a lot of sense, and I think that's the order of that at which we have it most well documented as well.
Yeah.
But again, once you understand the Arweave protocol, and then you start, you're like, okay, now what am I going to build for this hackathon? The AO cookbook is a really great resource. It has full guides. It will walk you from A to Z, and understanding what an AO process is, how it works. And Hyper-Beam is changing it a little bit, but it shouldn't be changing much. We don't need dry runs anymore. Yeah. Hyper-Beam can access your process data without needing the legacy net dry run. But there's a lot there. The cookbook, and I did spend quite a bit of time on the cookbook, like I mentioned at the start. So there's a lot there. If you have never used AO, like that's, you've learned about Arweave and now you're trying to first try AO, log into AOS in your CLI. If you log into AOS and you send your first message, it will probably start sparking some thoughts and some ideas in your head. To be able to know that you can send, just interact with other basically programs in this decentralized manner, it's running compute without any sort of centralized provider. It's mind-blowing. I vividly remember the first time I cracked open AOS and I sent my first message and got a response. It was crazy. It's a really crazy feeling. And so once you have that, then you're ready to start looking into creating AO processes, learning about handlers and different message patterns. Something to note is that the message patterns for Hyperbeam are going to be a little bit different, I believe, but it probably shouldn't affect developers too much just at this stage. But then you also have, cron and all of the other stuff, which is essential to learning about, to building your project. So you've gone to AOS, you've sent your message, you've learned about AO and how these processes work. If you're a data scientist, then you don't need to look any further. You can just start building your project now.
Oh.
If you're not, you can take a look at AO Learn. It's a really cool resource that tries to bring machine learning models into your AO processes. So that's kind of the order that I would go about. Start with Arweave, go to AOS to learn about, to send your first message, learn about creating processes in general. And then once you've learned how to build a process, then you can start leveraging cron and machine learning models. And at that point, you've got a hackathon project.
Yeah, sounds cool. I have the same feeling. When I send a message in AOS, and I got feedback. It's just like the matrix, Neo or Morpheus, right? Morpheus just give you a feedback. So that is very cool. Pretty cool. You mentioned the AO Learn. Is that the documentation? Who built that AO Learn?
So AO Learn was actually built by someone in the community, which is just awesome. We have the best community here in the perma web, and I believe it was created by Aditya Berry. You might have seen his Twitter account before, and it's like I mentioned before. It is essentially scikit-learn, if you're familiar with that in the Python world, but actually it's not just Python. I think they have it for JavaScript too and some other languages. But it is it's a library that's built for AO to leverage machine learning models. And it takes a lot of the heavy lifting because underneath machine learning models are some pretty complex concepts. And these kind of API interfaces that scikit-learn offer, that AO Learn now offer, they abstract away a lot of the complexities of these models. And they make it a lot easier to leverage them without understanding every single piece of how it works. The more you understand, I think the better your project will be. It's very helpful to understand how these machine learning models are working under the hood. But yeah, I'm on their GitHub page right now. I'll link it in this Meet chat, and you can feel free to share it. I think it's even mentioned on the hackathon description, so it shouldn't be too hard to find it. But AO Learn, really great resource, and I highly recommend looking into it as you are working on this hackathon project.
Cool. I will share this link in the community. So you mentioned the three. Maybe at least three learning resources. The first one is cookbook. That's a good one. And second one is Hyperbeam documentation. And third one is AO Learn, right? The newbie of the AO ecosystem, they can learn everything from these three documentations, right?
Yeah, and just to clarify, one thing is that we do have two different cookbooks in the ecosystem. We have one called the PermaWeb Cookbook, and that is cookbook.arweave.net. And that is some of the documentation that I'm working on right now. Hopefully in the next week or two, I'll get it shipped out, and that will be another really useful resource. But the other cookbook is cookbook_AO.arweave.net. And that one has a lot more focused information on AO and what the AO, how AO works.
Oh, so these two cookbooks are different. They are different.
There are two different cookbooks, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. I thought I just thought there is just one cookbook. Okay, that's very useful information. Cool. We just have 15 minutes left. So last question. I just want to jump to the last question, which is I think is very important for the Chinese developers. So how can developers from the Chinese speaking community better get involved or contribute to contribute technically? Yeah. Do you have any suggestion to the Chinese developer?
Yeah, well, I think the first thing I'll mention is that I do not believe that the Chinese docs are as up to date as the English ones, and I'm sorry to say that, but I personally don't know any Chinese, and I wouldn't be able to validate any of those docs myself, and I'm not sure that we have someone else who's actively working on that. So I think a great place to start would be, if you do know English, that you can help translate some of those docs. There's changes being made constantly, and if you wanted to offer your contributions to bring these docs to those who speak Chinese over English and who prefer that, that would be tremendous. And I will make sure that we can get those reviewed and get those in. So that's the first thing. Other than that, I think, and this isn't just for the Chinese community, but for the entire community, I think we need to see more people exploring. These technologies are really powerful. And like the Ford research team is focused on building the fundamental technologies, and they're leaving it to everyone else to figure out, what are we going to do with it? And we're still answering that question. Like there's so many things that we can still do with it. So there's some simple things that I could say that, like, what's something on Web 2 that's really useful that you use frequently that would just be better if it were permanent and decentralized. And honestly, that may not be a bad place to start and to think about. But not only those two, but share what you learn with each other. I think that another way to put that is build in public. That is the most valuable thing for this ecosystem, is to take what you have learned and share those learnings with others. I would recommend having your code repositories open sourced and letting other people learn from how, because I mean, if you think about it, you're spending a lot of time trying to learn these intricacies of how these different pieces work, to really help lift the ecosystem up, to help the ecosystem grow. We need more people to understand how these intricate systems can be built and designed with these technologies. There's only so much documentation can do. At some point, the code speaks for itself, and that's really valuable. And share what you're building with each other, and discover new use cases, especially with Hyperbeam. There's already so many devices that like we haven't documented like their practical use cases super well yet. And take a look at Hyperbeam, see how you can leverage it in really cool and unique ways. Look at Apis Network's GPU device, and like try to absorb all that and then pour it back out into the community. Be a translator, take all these complex topics and share with your neighbor to spread the wealth, spread the knowledge.
Share to the community, and share this technology to everybody. That's a open communities principle, and I believe. I always believe Chinese developers are very good. I think all of them are very good at to build something. But there are several barriers between in front of us. The first of all is the communication, the language. The Chinese people, a lot of developers can speak English, and they can have a very good communication with the Western community. That's a big problem, and that is what I want to solve. That's not easy. Not only the language, but also the culture. So that's a difficult part. But on the side of technology, I believe all the developers they are very good, very high quality developers. I really want to bring more high quality developers to the ecosystem and to contribute to this ecosystem. So thank you, Dylan, and thank you all for joining us. And stay tuned with our voices. And I hope we can meet again next week. And the next week maybe I can invite another judges of the hackathon to communicate with him to talk more about the hackathon. Thank you, Dylan, again.
Great. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Bye. Have a good day.